The Indianapolis Colts win ugly in Germany over the New England Patriots. Let's get to it.
You are Locked On Colts, your daily Indianapolis Colts podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Thank you all for tuning in and making us your first post-game listen of the day. This is your daily podcast covering your Indianapolis Colts, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day. Today's episode is brought to you by our friends over at Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL to get $20 off of your first purchase. Last minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Hello, everyone. I'm your host, Zach Hicks of the Locked On Colts podcast and over at horseshoehuddle.com. It's where you can find all of my film work. Jake is not joining us today. He's just so excited about this ugly win. He's out celebrating with the rest of his buddies or something like that. I don't know. It's just me today, guys. We're going to talk about this Colts victory over the New England Patriots. Colts won 10-6 in Germany. So, all you Germany fans out there, all you people in Germany, I'm glad we could bring the best of the NFL product over there with this 10-6 victory. Really anemic day overall on both offenses, but the defense stayed strong all day for the Colts, and they were able to get the victory. We're going to kick off the show by talking about the main storylines of this game, and then we're going to go into the Colts offense and the Colts defense and really discuss how this team was able to win, again, pretty ugly, but still win the game regardless. So kicking off with the biggest storylines, I think the number one thing that we really have to say about this game is the Patriots are so bad. The Patriots are so bad. Like, I don't want to get on here and just laugh about another team, but oh man, that was tough to watch from the Patriots side. I mean, their quarterback play was bad. Every single time they dropped back to throw the ball, it felt like a win for the Colts defense, which is really not something you see in today's NFL because obviously it's a passing league. The NFL wants passing offenses. They want the ball down the field and explosive plays. But every single time the Patriots were calling a pass play, it really felt like a win for the Colts defense. Like they had 5 sacks in this game. They had over a dozen pressures. They were just getting after Mac Jones all game long. And then even when they made that weird quarterback change at the end, they were still getting after Bailey Zappi as well and really locking it down. So, yeah, the Colts defense won this game for them. Obviously, I mean, if you're only scoring 10 points in an NFL game and you're winning, obviously your defense has to be doing some superhuman stuff on the other side of the ball. But, yeah, the Colts defensive line, again, 5 sacks. Almost all of them were on third down, multiple other pressures on third down as well. Just a fantastic game from the Colts defense. And I know that we're going to get some comments on this video. We're going to get some comments on social media and stuff where it's like, oh, yeah, of course they had a great game. They were against the Patriots offense. But again, 2 weeks ago, they played against New Orleans Saints, which was a terrible offense when they played against the Saints, and the Saints lit them up for a huge point total and had a fantastic game. The last 2 weeks against, again, 2 abysmal offenses in the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots, we have finally seen this Colts defense just level out and play, again, not fantastic football, but play better than, abysmal football. They've been playing some pretty solid football the last 2 weeks, come away with 5 turnovers the last 2 games. They come away with 9 sacks the last 2 games. So really strong day from the Colts defense. Run defense can stand to get a lot better, but you really can't complain too much about a game, again, in the NFL where you're only giving up 6 points. Like if you're only giving up 6 points in an NFL game, you're doing enough to win. So Colts defense, big plus, did a great job out there. I think the secondary has been playing really well for the Colts defense as well. I mean, again, you're not going against these fantastic quarterbacks in Mac Jones and Bryce Young, but these are NFL quarterbacks, like albeit struggling NFL quarterbacks, but they're NFL quarterbacks. They can at least get the ball out of their hands and do something with it at times, not all the time. But the Colts secondary has been locking things down a lot these last 2 weeks, giving up very few yards after the catch, making some tackles and just suffocating teams on the back end with a lot of really cool principles, I think, that Gus Bradley's mixing in, which we're going to talk about more in segment 3. But I think they're starting to do a lot more Saban type stuff, a lot more quarters, a lot more cover 7, cover 6. You're seeing a lot of really interesting things there on the back end from the Indianapolis Colts. And it's confusing these below average quarterbacks in Mac Jones and Bryce Young. So really, really strong day from the Colts defense. If we're going over to the Colts offense, the biggest storyline, quarterback play, not good, just simply not good enough. I think this game was probably worse than last week for Gardner Minshew. I think at least last week, he was able to get the ball out a couple times and move the ball a little bit. But in this game, the Colts offense was just not operational whatsoever. Like the Colts offense could not move the ball at all. And it felt like, again, like on the other side of the ball with the Patriots, every time they called a passing play, it felt like a win for the defense. On the Colts side, it kind of felt the same way outside of a couple of big plays. I mean, Gardner Minshew made 3 big throws in this game, one to Josh Downs late, which Josh Downs kind of bailed him out with a great catch. The one to Alec Pierce early, where again, Alec Pierce kind of bailed him out with a catch. And then Isaiah McKenzie early in the game, that 30-yarder down the field, which led to the Colts' first touchdown. Aside from those 3 big plays, though, the Colts passing offense was just anemic in this one. Michael Pittman Jr. had a couple nice catches underneath, but they just have nothing going in the passing game. And a lot of that has to do with Gardner Minshew just feeling ghosts in the pocket, Gardner Minshew missing throws high, throwing off his back foot. Because, again, we're going to talk about this more in segment 2. Like, everything is right there for him. Like, there are guys that are open. There's a good, clean pocket in front of him. Like, there are things that he can be doing. It's just, for some reason, he's panicking back there. He's running in circles back there. He's missing reads that an NFL quarterback needs to make. And at the end of the day, it's just not good enough. I know he's a backup quarterback. I know that the expectation shouldn't be sky high for him, but at the end of the day, these are plays that need to be made. I know the Colts are 2-0 the last 2 weeks, but they really shouldn't with the way their quarterback has played. Like, they're really lucky that they played against the 2 bottom teams in the entire league these last 2 games, because the way that Gardner Minshew has played, they do not deserve to win these games. You know, hats off to the Colts defense, hats off to the Colts playmakers like Josh Downs today on that long catch. But this is just not a winning formula with the way their quarterback is playing right now. So we got to see more from Gardner Minshew going forward. It's just not good enough whatsoever. But, you know, again, if we're talking biggest storylines, it's more about the Colts defense having a really strong game, despite giving up a lot of ground, a lot of gains on the ground in this one, a lot of big run gains for the Patriots offense. The Colts defense was able to step up and get the job done in the red zone and then keep the Patriots off the board, which is the biggest thing in the entire league right there. So overall, strong day for the Colts defense. Colts offense needs to be a lot better, but luckily they have the bye week to maybe figure some things out and you know, get back to where they were the last couple weeks when they were, you know, scoring 20 plus every single game for the first 9 games. So coming up, though, we're going to really dive into this Colts offense, talk about what the biggest issues were and just overall what we thought about this game, watching it from the Colts offensive side of the ball. And guys, you should never have to worry when you're buying your tickets to your next big event. You know, I love going to concerts. I love going to sporting events. Even if it's not NFL games, I love going to watch my Washington Capitals and stuff like that. And the best place to go is Gametime. Gametime is the fast and easy way to buy tickets for all your sports, music, comedy, and theater events near you. Again, I buy my Capitals tickets on Gametime. I love it. I just get really, really good deals there. And I get, you know, some really cool things, you know, like killer last minute deals, all in prices and views from your seat, and the best price guarantee. Gametime takes the guesswork out of buying your ticket. Gametime is the only ticketing app that gives you complete peace of mind with your purchase. See the view from your seat before you buy so you know exactly what to expect when you arrive. You know, make sure you're not sitting behind some stanchion or sitting behind, you know, some area that you really just don't want to be. Gametime gives you that peace of mind before you even get to the game. All in prices show your total up front, so you know exactly what kind of great deal you're getting without any hidden fees. Buy tickets in seconds with 2 taps. Gametime is obsessed with finding ways to help you save money on tickets. Gametime has deals on tickets right up to the start of the event, and even an hour after it starts, it's the best place to find last-minute tickets. Take the guesswork out of buying tickets with Gametime. Download the Gametime app, create an account, and use code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off your first purchase. Terms apply. Again, create an account and redeem code LOCKEDONNFL for $20 off. Download Gametime today. Last-minute tickets, lowest price, guaranteed. Alrighty, my Colts friends and family here, my everydayers here on the Locked On Colts channel. We're talking about this Colts offense. Unfortunately, we do have to talk about the Colts offense just a little bit in this one. Just not a good game at all. I mean, a little bit better than the Panthers outing. They had 4.9 yards per play in this one, where in that Panthers one, they had, I think, 3.5 yards per play. So just not a really effective day either time these last 2 weeks. They had a couple of explosive plays that really brought up the yards per play total. Again, the Isaiah McKenzie catch, the Alec Pierce catch, the Josh Downs catch late. Those three explosives kind of boosted the yards per play total, but overall, just not an efficient game plan on offense, not an efficient day from their quarterback. Gardner Minshew went 18 of 28 for 194 yards and a pick in this game. Yeah, it's as bad as the stat line looks. Honestly, it's worse than what the stat line looks. There were just some really, really brutal moments in this game from Gardner Minshew. A lot of times, I mean, you guys know in the comment section here, I mean, it was every single time there was an obvious passing situation, third down, third and long. The Patriots are bringing like four guys. They weren't even blitzing on a lot of these situations, and they were just running stunts up the middle, stunts, and the Colts were picking it up and just I don't know what Minshew was doing. Like you could hear the internal screaming in his head when the second he saw some kind of blitz or some kind of simulated pressure or some kind of pass rusher getting into the backfield slightly, you could see like that internal clock just exploding in his head and him just running in circles like he had no clue what was going on. It was really tough to see because you'd expect that out of some kind of rookie quarterback, or you'd expect that out of, a player that's not been around and started as many games as Gardner Minshew. And honestly, we didn't really see it as much the first couple weeks this season when he first got out there, coming in relief in those Titans and Texans games, or coming into early starts against the Ravens even, or against the Browns. I think maybe he's thinking too much about the fumbles and just dropping the ball from the backside too much. So now he's overcompensating by just running in circles and trying to avoid getting hit at all costs, so he doesn't fumble. But look, at the end of the day, I can live with a couple interceptions and turnovers if the offense is moving and putting points on the board. Like you can live with turnovers every now and then. I'm not saying that you need to come out there and purposely turn the ball over, because that's not good either. But like you can't sacrifice efficiency on offense. You can't sacrifice your entire offensive flow and design because you're scared of turning the ball over, because you're scared of making a mistake. And I feel like that's where we're at with Gardner Minshew, where we're seeing so many moments where it's like, okay, first read's not there. Instead of let me get my second read, it's let me run in circles and I'll either eat this ball and run it up for a couple yard gain, or I'll try to find the wide open guy after a broken play is down the field. That's just not how you play quarterback in the NFL, especially not how you play quarterback when you're a player who's not really athletic. You really don't have that big of an arm. Like it's just not a recipe for success from the quarterback position. Most quarterback play is done in the pocket by design, the way that the play is drawn up. And there were multiple times in this game where, a mesh route, the mesh route, that third down mesh where he completed to Michael Pittman Jr. Later in the game. Like, great job moving around and getting the ball out and getting it to Michael Pittman Jr. But if you watch that play, Kylan Granson wide open over the middle on the little spot route. Alec Pierce wide open on the mesh run over the middle. Jonathan Taylor not even covered on the wheel route outside the backfield. These are all within design where the play is supposed to go when you're talking mesh. And it's great that he was able to get out of the pocket and find Pittman Jr. and get that first down. But like, these are things that need to be done by your veteran quarterback. I don't care if you're a backup quarterback or if you're a guy who wasn't supposed to start. It's just not good enough from an NFL caliber quarterback. And that's what he is. He's an NFL caliber quarterback who's just not playing good enough right now. So these last 2 weeks, if he plays like this the last stretch of the season, the Colts are not going to win many games. You can't win many games with your quarterback playing like this. Like you can beat the Carolina Panthers and the New England Patriots of the world, but you're not beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers with this type of quarterback play. You're probably not beating the Tennessee Titans. You're probably not beating the Houston Texans again with this kind of quarterback play. You need better quarterback play. And again, I know Gardner Minshew was brought in on a low contract with very little expectations and probably didn't even expect to start many games this year. It's just the unfortunate world that we live in, but that doesn't excuse the fact that we can talk about his play out there. His play has not been good enough. These last 2 weeks, it has simply not been good enough for even a spot starter, for even a backup quarterback. So it's just something that we can't have going forward. Again, I think this Colts team is solid. I think they're a solid team. They're probably a 7 to 8 win team, regardless of what happens with the quarterback position. But for this team to maybe make the playoffs or even to get to those 7 and 8 wins, Gardner Minshew needs to play better. And I think, hopefully they can go into this bye week and they can really talk about, what was going on with him these last 2 weeks and why he's freaking out so much. But they really need to do some soul searching here in the bye week with him, because whatever happened the last 2 weeks compared to the weeks before that, he is just panicking so much back there, and it's just not good enough. But talking about some other players on the Colts offense before we get to the Colts defense, I think that Jonathan Taylor did some really solid things out there despite the 23 carries for 69 yards and a touchdown. Again, teams are going to be stacking the box when they're not scared of the quarterback, so it's going to be tough to run. But I think he had some really, really good just overall runs in this game, some really strong rushes. His touchdown run was a fantastic run. I know it was only a 2-yard gain, but really good job manipulating the defender on the outside and getting in the end zone. Michael Pittman Jr., 8 catches for 84 yards. Josh Downs, 2 for 40. On a day where, like, he really didn't play much. He played, I think, only on some third downs and some obvious passing situations. So obviously that knee is just not right for Josh Downs still. But getting out there for those 2 catches for 40 yards and had that really fantastic long catch late in the game to, not ice the game, but really put the Patriots on their back. So that really helped there. Again, Alec Pierce, Isaiah McKenzie, 2 big plays early in the game. Really great to see. And overall, I think the Colts offensive line played fairly well. Again, Patriots are stacking the box. They were blitzing a lot. They gave Gardner Minshew a lot of time in the backfield. They had some good holes there in the run game. So I can't really complain too much about what this offensive line did. One more thing I did want to touch on with the Colts offense in general was running back Zach Moss was almost completely cut out of the game plan entirely. I'm not a fan of that at all. I think Zach Moss has been playing some really, really good football this year. And look, I get wanting to get Jonathan Taylor his carries and getting him out there and trying to lean on his explosiveness and doing some good things out there. But Zach Moss is a tough road grader type of runner. I think getting him out there and getting him even just getting more carries than just the one that he had in this game would have been beneficial for this Colts team. I know it's more of a hindsight thing because, in the game, things, a player like Jonathan Taylor is kind of rolling a little bit. You want to get him going, but Zach Moss can't be completely cut out of the game plan. He's too good of a player for that. You just pay Jonathan Taylor. I get it, but Zach Moss is playing really well this year. I don't want to cut him completely out of the game plan, no matter what's going on out there. He's just too good of a runner, too good of a change of pace guy. Just get him out there to get some carries. Don't let him just be like a decoy in a couple snaps. He's a good player. Get him out there. So yeah, I would have liked to see Zach Moss more, and I would have liked to see Gardner Minshew obviously play a better game, but it is what it is. We'll see if the Colts can bounce back after the bye week. Obviously, they have a lot of soul searching to do on offense, but the Colts defense is riding a 2-game hot streak here into the bye week. Can they continue that on this last stretch of the season? We're going to talk about that here coming up in just a second. And guys, score early this NFL season with FanDuel, America's #1 sportsbook. Right now, new customers get $150 back in bonus bets with any winning a $5 moneyline bet. That is $150 if your team wins. If you've been thinking about joining FanDuel, there's no better time to get in on the action. The app is so easy to use. There's a wide range of betting options that include spreads, player props, over-unders, and more. I know all you beautiful degenerates out there love betting. So go to FanDuel.com, visit FanDuel.com today /LockedOn and kick off the NFL season. FanDuel, official partner of the NFL. All right, guys. So we're diving into this Colts defense, and I still see some comments on here that talking about the Colts defense struggling and having a bad day. But look, Colts run defense was brutal. It was brutal in this game, but I think today's game really did show that, why the NFL is such a passing league, because you can run the ball effectively all you want. But at the end of the day, when you get into 3rd and 6, 3rd and 7, 3rd and 8, those couple times a game where you get into that, you need to be able to throw the ball in the NFL to find success. And the Colts defense did a really good job in this game of, sure, we're giving up these huge gains up the middle on the run game because we just don't have a good defensive tackle alongside DeForest Buckner. And that's a big issue. But they were shutting down the pass game so much in this one, and it's not just because Mac Jones is bad. It's also because the Colts defense was covering things up pretty well on the back end and getting some really good pass rush up front from their front 4 defenders. So, again, we can look at it and say, yes, the Colts defense needs to be better in the run game. That was just too awful against Ramondre Stevenson, and especially Zeke Elliott, who's just not the Zeke Elliott of 5 years ago. Like, you just can't have that kind of thing happen there. But at the end of the day, they got the job done in the passing game. They made some plays on the ball, some good pass breakups, some interceptions, a lot of sacks up front. Just a really, really strong game in pass coverage, and that's more important than run defense. I will sacrifice the run defense allowing 7-8 yards a carry, whatever it is, 6, 7, 8 yards a carry, if you're going to completely shut down another team's passing game, because the passing game is just more effective and more efficient overall and leads more to NFL success and offensive success. So, yes, clean up the run game, please. Grover Stewart's going to be back soon. Thank God, because they need him back more than ever. But, if you're shutting down a passing game, it's fine. You can live with getting gashed in the run game if you're shutting down other teams' passing game. So overall, solid day from the Colts defense, allowing only 6 points in an NFL game, regardless of who you're playing, is a fantastic day. In the main superstars, I mean, the two main superstars of this one, but one of them more of a underrated type player, Dayo Odeyingbo in the first half had 3 sacks in this game, had multiple pressures as well. I think he had 3 QB hits in this game as well. Just a really, really strong game from Dayo Odeyingbo, who's been playing some really, really good football the last 2 to 3 weeks for the Indianapolis Colts, doing some really great things. Like they're using him all over the place. They're using him at defensive end. They're using him at 3 tech. They're using him as as that prowler blitzer over the middle and stuff too. And he's just getting the job done. So he's really living up to where the Colts took him in that draft a couple years ago, doing some really strong things in the rush game. And you're starting to see the sacks kind of pile up now. The 3 sacks a day, I think, puts him at first on the Colts this season in sacks. I think he's at 6.5 now, or it's either 6 or 6.5 now is where they're at with him on the season. So yeah, Dayo Odeyingbo, really, really strong game for him. DeForest Buckner, fantastic game. He looked like a superstar all game long. Honestly, the only time the Colts got any kind of run defensive stops in this one was when DeForest Buckner was making plays in the backfield and blowing up the run. The Patriots tried to double team him all game and just leave the other defensive tackle on single blocks, which worked for a majority of the game, but there were still some times where Buckner was able to break through and make some plays on the ball. In the pass rush department, I mean, 2 of Dayo Odeyingbo's sacks came off DeForest Buckner pressures. I think Kwity Paye's sack came off of DeForest Buckner's pressure. I believe Tyquan Lewis's sack came off of DeForest Buckner pressure. So yeah, DeForest Buckner finished this game with 0 sacks, but it was a superstar game from him. And he looked like one of the best defensive tackles in the league. He was just abusing this Patriots offensive line all game long. Their left guard, Cole Strange, was the former first-round pick 2 years ago out of Chattanooga, and DeForest Buckner was just having his way with him all game long. So, great game from DeForest Buckner. Did a fantastic job out there. Adetomi Adebawore, another really good game from him. He got out there for a couple snaps, and I want to say he had like 3 or 4 pressures in this game. He had a couple of run defensive snaps where, yes, he lost his gap integrity, but he did, get into the backfield and get in position to make a play. You want to see him finish those plays going forward. I think one of Stevenson's, he had like a 6-yard run in the first half where Adetomi kind of broke into the backfield and had him stopped in the backfield, but just missed the tackle. And Stevenson was able to get upfield for a 5-yard gain. But just plays like that, you're seeing some really good flashes from Adetomi Adebawore, and you're seeing his snaps go up on defense. You're starting to see that athleticism on defense. Really liking what I'm seeing from that young player there. Some other guys that stood out to me, Zaire Franklin had 15 tackles in this game, had 12 solo tackles. I know some of them were, more down the field in the run game, not some great tackles there, but had a pass breakup early in the game as well. Had that on the very final play of the game. He roboted in coverage and got in front of that receiver for Rodney Thomas to come up with the interception. So really, really strong play from Zaire Franklin in this one. And yeah, I mean, overall, I think some other players made some good plays too. Julian Blackmon, a couple big splash plays, had the pick in the red zone, which should not have been a pick, but it was a pick because of, Mac Jones just not knowing how to throw the football. At another red zone play where he should have had an interception, a couple pass breakups as well. Julian Blackmon playing some good football. And then the kind of just to kind of close out this show and talk about something that needs to be talked about a player who's struggling out there. And I don't want to just single him out because I don't think EJ Speed had that strong of a game. I think Darrell Baker Jr., the run game, didn't play really well either. Taven Bryan struggled a lot in the run game. Obviously, Eric Johnson had a really bad game in the run game. But obviously the player that we got to point out, and someone said it earlier here in the comment section, don't talk about it. But look, we have to talk about it. I'm sorry. Shaquille Leonard just struggled in this one. It just was not a good game whatsoever. And unfortunately, it's something that we have to talk about because he keeps getting asked in these media sessions about his snaps and his play and how he's not producing out there. And we could kind of see today why he's not producing out there, or why he's not getting more snaps, or why he's not out there on third downs. It's because when he's in position to make plays, he's not making them. It's not because of the snaps. It's not because of the scheme. Like, there are multiple opportunities each game where he can make a big play, or he can make a really big moment for this Colts team, and he just didn't get it done. There was 3 plays that really stuck out to me in this game from him. There was the early screen to Ezekiel Elliott where he just did not get there in time, and 90-year-old Ezekiel Elliott beats him to the corner and runs up for a 19-yard gain. And then you had the forced fumble that Zaire Franklin forced in the second quarter where he punched the ball out from Hunter Henry. And Shaquille Leonard was the first guy to get there. Shaquille Leonard was the first guy to jump on the ball, didn't come away with the fumble recovery, and that's a big play that should have been made. And then you go later in the game, another screen play to Ezekiel Elliott in the red zone, and just gets juked out of his shoes by Ezekiel Elliott in the red zone there. Like, these are plays where, if you want to play more on defense, you got to make these plays. I'm not going to say he's like the worst player on the team for the Colts or the worst player out there, but there are a lot of moments where he looks like a liability for the Colts. And this was one of those games where, in the run game, he's getting abused and pushed back by offensive linemen. And then when he's out in space trying to make tackles on linebacker or on running backs, he's getting by quickness or getting beat by, getting beat by power or speed or whatever it is. Like, he's just not able to get out there. So it's just, it's tough, man. It's tough to watch Shaquille Leonard look like this out there. It's tough that he still wants to, I know he wants to be on the field more because that's who he is. That's who he is as a person. But if we watch the games, we know why he's not on the field more. It's because of how he looked today. It was a struggle for him out there. It wasn't a good game whatsoever. So it's tough, man. It's tough. You want to see him bounce back and stuff like that, but it just wasn't a good game from Shaquille Leonard. And we have to talk about it because, again, it's something that he talks about throughout the week about wanting to play more. Well, look, the Colts defense allowed 6 points in this game. And they had, 6 sacks or 2 interceptions, like Jerry's mentioning here. Did some really, really good things on this Colts defense, but the struggles came when it was somebody with Shaquille Leonard out there, or when Shaquille Leonard had a chance to make a big play. That's when the struggles came. So we got to see some bounce back there from him. Got to see him play a lot better. It's just not what you expect out of your highly paid linebacker. I know he's had the back surgery. I know that there are reasons why he's not the same Shaquille Leonard, but again, if he's going to talk all week about saying that he thinks he's fully back and he wants more opportunities on the field and he wants to play on third downs, well, make some plays on the snaps that you're out there for. He had 3 big play moments in this game that he could have made, and he didn't make them. So, they had to be made if you want to get out there more. It's tough, man. It's the nature of the game, but man, just make the plays, and that'll lead to more snaps on third down. But I think that's all we have for today, guys. I know I kind of ended on more of a sour note, but look, at the end of the day, the Colts won ugly in Germany over the New England Patriots. They got some revenge for that New England Patriots game last year, where in Frank Reich's final game of his Colts tenure, the Colts allowed 9 sacks and got nothing going on offense. Now you flash forward to this year, the Colts get 5 sacks in this game on Mac Jones and only allow 6 points in what could be the Bill Belichick nail in the coffin. Maybe the Colts got some revenge in that way. We'll see what goes on with the Patriots going forward. But guys, again, every day, as we back here all week talking about this Colts team, doing some really fun bye week content for you and just kind of discussing where the Colts need to go from here after the bye week in order to either make the playoffs or just get to 500 or whatever with this Colts team. So if you guys don't already, make sure you're following at Locked On Colts, at Jake Arthur NFL, and at Zach Hicks 2, all on social medias, and also subscribe to us on YouTube, wherever you listen to your podcast. We'd love your guys' ratings, reviews, and we'll see you guys back here bright and early on Tuesday morning.